Fans and folks of sports all around, I'm your host, Joe Two in Love. Welcome back to the podcast, Sports Overview Topics. Here another episode. Let's get going. Good weekend was it as far as sports is concerned. We got NFL Week 17. Unfortunately, season winding down for us lovers of the NFL season, but close to the playoffs. College Football National Championship. That's lined up now for next Monday. The semifinals took place on Monday between Michigan, Alabama, Texas, Washington. Two fun outings. Two oddly different outings, which go over in a bit. Conor McGregor. Yes, Conor McGregor has announced his return. Expected return to UFC, which we'll talk about as well in the podcast. We got some good stuff to go over as we get into the new year. It's a start. But we got to start off somewhere. It's got to start off good. Hope you guys are liking the new layout as you guys are watching this as well. It's definitely different. I said last week, and you guys saw a preview with the short I made in the recap of the Browns-Jets game on Thursday. So that was a little bit of preview, but after the weekend, a couple more days of refining, retooling of backgrounds, and meshing well with the thumbnails. Stumbled on the word there, but thumbnail. Getting to be a bit more artistic with these backgrounds and the thumbnails and all that jazz. I haven't been in art class since, been a few years, but trying to channel my artistic value when it comes to making these thumbnails and backgrounds best I can. So, hope you guys enjoy it, and as it hopefully feels a better vibe to the podcast and, everything, want it to make it feel better, certainly, as well as visual aids make it look much better as well. But anyway, with that whole opening monologue out of the way, let's get into some of the fun stuff talked about on the podcast. Of course, subscribe if you guys are new to the channel, if you want to check out more. The shorts, the videos, everything on channel. Notification bell, find out when that things actually get posted, because unfortunately I'm inconsistent. So there you guys go. But I try to be consistent as possible. But anyway, so start off with the most recent news, pretty much, as far as football, as college. So, national championship going into Monday. It was down to 4. Alabama, Texas, Washington, Michigan. Only 2 would advance to Monday to play in the national championship. And now it's official. The Michigan Wolverines will face off against the Washington Huskies. Monday, Houston, Texas. It's going to be a treat, certainly. So, as I mentioned, 2 fun outings on Monday. 2 very different, I would say, outings in a way. Both had similarities, both have obviously pair of differences and how they ended. So, first off, we'll start off with the Rose Bowl, which started first on Monday afternoon. So, Michigan, Alabama. The prestige was there, the two winningest programs and schools in college football history, playing in the best place to play in as far as college football, the Rose Bowl, the prestige, the moniker, everything going in. It was something. Now, you can complain all you want about Alabama, being in or not. The fact is, look, regardless of how you feel about the Alabama Florida State situation, it is what it is. Florida State, Jordan Travis, definitely believe he would have been, Florida State would have been in, if everyone was healthy, Jordan Travis, nonetheless. The reality is Alabama, played tough, and it was a fun game. It was a fun game, regardless of how you feel about the Alabama-Florida State situation. And it was a tough game throughout. I mean, went to overtime. Michigan, the first half, really, it felt like their defense and they kind of dominated the game. 5 sacks in the first half. Unfortunately, their offense had some bumps in the road, to be frank. I mean, it was 13-10 at the half, but Alabama fought on, but the pressure, it felt like, see, with Alabama's offense, we know it's much different than how it was the recent years of Bryce Young. Bryce Young and, and Bryce Young, Tua, Mac Jones, could tell that was a very edgy, pass-heavy offense. Whether it was Jameson Williams, whether it was John Mechie, etc. But when they finally catered into going with Jalen Milroe the rest of the way and really adapting to how their offense would be a rugged style, run heavy, McClellan and that hot run game, but still some downfield throws because, Jalen Milroe, he can certainly throw good downfield and then run a little bit, but the pressure of Michigan kind of was the story of the game. And then the offense, third quarter was not really there for Michigan. And of course, when your offense doesn't score, you keep allowing chances for the other side. And it wasn't pretty by Alabama, but they managed to keep going. They had a couple drives. And however, this one drive kind of was ironic to how it the game ended because drive early in the second half, they had some runs and it felt like they were pushing to take the lead or tie it, and then all of a sudden 2 bad snaps in a row, and that kind of killed the drive. But Alabama stayed in it, and then it was 20-13. And it was there was adversity for Michigan. And so it felt like they needed a break. And then they got the fumble on Jalen Milroe. Unfortunately, James Turner missed the field goal. And the special teams was a problem for Michigan for the most part. They miss the extra point due to a bad snap, and at the end of the second quarter, or near the end of the second quarter after second touchdown, and then off the Jalen Miller fumble, missed a field goal, which in theory, if all went right, probably would have tied it. But nonetheless, it was there. Then finally, a few minutes left to go in the game. 4th down, 4th and 4, deep in their own end. Need a play, and kind of felt like the game after 2 long field goals from Riker. But a big throw out of the backfield as Blake Corum, who had a very good game, leaked out of the backfield and then downfield, making a big game. Yes, it was a blocking back, but luckily it was still a big game and was a first down and really invigorated the Wolverines again. And then 2 big throws, or receptions, I should say. Well, both hands. But 2 big receptions by Roman Wilson, who was kind of quiet the whole game. Made a big reception, high reception that was tipped, which you didn't realize, but yeah, it was tipped. Led them deep into Alabama territory, and then that read type of drill, play action type of deal, which set up that easy walk-in touchdown for Roman Wilson. Great job. And then it was tied. And the pressure of Michigan got to Jalen Miller again. Now this was that moment which, this moment was close to living in infamy for Michigan. Close. So early in the game, which up Michigan, or I should say Alabama's first touchdown, it was a muffed punt, which led to McClellan's 30-plus yard touchdown. So here we have a new returner at the end of the game. You're thinking, okay, Michigan has 2 timeouts, decent amount of time to drive down the field and hopefully kick the game-winning field goal. The new returner, he bobbles it luckily picks it up and then manages to get tackled at the 1. And they're like, oh, geez, that was close. But luckily he held on and fought through. And then Michigan was able to escape till overtime. And then Blake Corum, mentioned him. You could definitely say it's been a Heisman candidate the last couple years, and certainly a Heisman play worthy in overtime. That big run, 18-yard scamper, or 17-yard for the score to put Michigan ahead in overtime. Excuse me. But yeah, that put Michigan on top, and then it was Alabama's turn. And they were methodical, went down the field. Well, it's definitely weird looking at overtime rules for college compared to the NFL, but nonetheless, they made it down inside the 5-yard line. 4th and goal. You could see it on the Michigan fans' faces. Had 2 heartbreaking losses in the semifinals the previous 2 years. Can they hold on this time? Now, like I mentioned, ironic how that drive with the 2 bad snaps killed that drive. And then here we go. A bad low snap again. Pretty much killed the game and the season for Alabama, as it was a low snap to Jalen Milroe trying to do something, quarterback draw. It was stopped, nowhere to go. Michigan finally pulls through, and they're going to the national championship. Heck of game, 27-20, Michigan in the Rose Bowl. Again, regardless of how you feel about the Alabama at Florida State situation, I bet the committee feels justified. They definitely do have to feel justified with Florida State. Now, unfortunately, there are a bunch of opt-outs, which not being in the playoffs certainly influenced a number of them. And then, Jordan Travis, again, his injury. But with Florida State getting blown out 6-3, and then Alabama taking Michigan to overtime, I think you gotta agree that the committee feels justified, with how things went. Consider. Now, credit to Alabama, they found a way in these playoffs, whether you like them or not. That sometimes it's better to be lucky than good, and that the way that Auburn game ended, with beating Michigan, or excuse me, Georgia in the SEC championship, they found a way in, and it was just the pressure of Michigan that ultimately reaped the rewards for the Wolverines this go around. So there was that. So after a thrilling finish in the Rose Bowl, how would this turn about? Well, Texas, Washington, certainly was fun. You know, Michael Penix Jr., you know, first of all, credit to him. You know, he's battled through a lot of adversity throughout his collegiate career. I mean, of course, started for a number of seasons in Indiana, had those crucial injuries. Now in Washington, has played his ass off all year, and yet they're in the Sugar Bowl against a game Texas team, which, you know, Texas, whether they're another team which have differing opinions. And, you know, Texas, it's been a while since they've been to that point, but they're certainly on the road to getting back to that point if they're not back to that. And this was certainly a test. And they almost delivered, but no cigar, unfortunately. But this was still a fun game. You know, Penix and the offense was certainly flying. You know, whether it was a Dunze, Polk, McClellan, I mean, it was a great game by Penix, 430 yards. So, cut to it first. So, it was 14-7. Texas had to punt the ball away. It felt like the game was going to get out of hands a bit, but, you know, Texas got a break, muff punt, and all of a sudden, Texas drove in for the game-tying touchdown, so great for them. And then, next thing you know, after a bit, the run game, and Quinn Ewers made a few throws, and that was 21-0 at the break. Then Washington got the ball to start the second half, and then it felt, you know, like the game was in a weird balance. Because one of the biggest keys of Texas has been their defensive line all season. Rated as one of the best, you know. Sweat, Bauer Murphy, two of the best. If on the D line, and fortunately, for their sake, Washington's offensive line came to play. And Michael Penix Jr. was on fire. He delivered some big plays, some great throws, and he was out for a while, but Washington still controlled the game. Now, you know, there was a period where, you know, they were milking the clock. You know, they started to get worrisome for Texas as, you know, they fumble inside their area. And then, you know, they get the ball. It looks like they're starting to get get some points, and then Baxter fumbles and near the red zone, and then it's just like, oh no, for Texas. But at the end, it was a good finish. So it was 28 or 37-28. Texas, got a quick drive, managed to get a field goal. So it's like, okay, you need to stop. Something you don't see happen every day when it comes to football. So Dylan Johnson, who's had a very good year for Washington at running back, and this will be key for Monday if he's healthy. So he went down with an injury, and definitely weird because it's like if the clock's still rolling, Texas has less than 20 seconds left with the ball. They need, touchdown. So that's very hefty. So then Dylan Johnson goes down with an injury, and it looked bad. So then all of a sudden the clock stops, 47 seconds, and they're like, wait a sec. The clock stops, Texas, think about what first downs, the clock stops temporarily. And like, Texas has a decent chance. Better than decent chance. Now with the injury, and then they had 3 seconds left, which I don't know why, but, so it's like 50 seconds left, so manageable. So false start, running into or fair catch interference, and then that adds another penalty. So it's like, dang. So then a few plays, and then a big pass play to Jordan Whittington, and then they're set up nicely in Washington territory. So thinking to yourself, wow, this could happen. This could happen. And then some weird play calls. So it was like a toss play, first of all, to get a few yards out of bounds. So it's like, okay, risky. And then they go for a few pass plays. Finally, at the end, Quinn Ewers to Adonai Mitchell. I like the call. The problem is the throw. That's the thing. If Ewers got out early and then a lower pass, I think Mitchell could have gotten it and got the win. But a great play by Elijah Jackson, the bat out of the way. And Elijah Jackson. So yeah, I talked about Washington. Talk a little about Texas. I will say, they played a great game. Played a very good game. Their offense kept them in it for the most part. I mean, besides for a while I was thinking the penalties. Now I was just, it just seemed a bit weird. I will say that the injury or the penalties swayed in Washington's favor predominantly. That's all I'll say. But there was that. And the turnovers by Texas really do them in. I mean, if Baxter didn't fumble, then that would have been at least 3. And then, perhaps they kick game time field goal. Perhaps they can go for the win there. I mean, hindsight's 2020, but Texas played a very well game for the most part. Now, the weird thing is Texas, Quinn Ewers. Quinn Ewers, I think, is very good. He is inconsistent at times. He was certainly inconsistent in this game. Excuse me. The big question is going to be, is he going to return for another season or go to the NFL draft? And then that's the case. What is Arch Manning? What is his mindset? I mean, I'm sure he wants to play. And with the name value, he's only going to need like 2 years to play. But at the same time, we all got an ego. We all got competitive spirit in all of us. So we'll see how that fares. But let's say, considering they lost, considering how close they were, I wouldn't be surprised if Quinn Ewers does come back for another year. That's my take. But, yeah, Washington, Michigan, next Monday. I'll give my prediction because I've already talked about it enough on the Thursday episode. But, yeah, it's going to be a fun one on Monday for all the marbles in Houston. NFL Week 17 now in the books. Boy, had some fun ones. So, I talked about Jets, Browns in that short the other day. I will say, Joe Flacco, how the role he's been on, it's been real credit for the Browns, and it's gonna be something if we see Joe Burrow or Joe Flacco and the Browns go to Baltimore and face Lamar Jackson and the Ravens. That would be something. Certainly something. We'll see. So, one of the big things out of the weekend, especially last Saturday night, so Lions Cowboys, very significant game. The only game on Saturday night, or on Saturday as far as NFL, but it was pretty fun. I'd say two of the best teams in the league, 2 solid offenses, 2 defensive coming around. So, Cowboys won 2019. That's the thing there. Now, first of all, could have been more points. I mean, there's missed calls on both sides, as far as during the game. So, we know how aggressive Dan Campbell is as coach for the Lions. And, saw the case a number of times in the game. It was 4th and goal. That's at least 3 points on board. Didn't get it. Cowboys, CeeDee Lamb fumbles it, inside the goal area, and it becomes touchback. Nonetheless, it was a fun game. But key thing is the ending. So, Cowboys were ahead 20-13, and or take it back a little further. So, Cowboys were ahead 17-13, and they got pass happy. Now, if it wasn't for the call and people downing on Dan Campbell, people would have downed on Mike McCarthy if it wasn't for the mishap with the Lions. Because they were ahead 17-13. Still time to run out the clock. Brandon Aubrey has a great leg to make it a touchdown game. You throw it 3 times. 1 was incomplete. So then, ultimately, they kicked a field goal. But in the end, instead of the Lions having less than a minute left, you give them closer to 2 minutes left. I mean, it's like with that offense, Jared Goff, Amon-Ra St. Brown, Samuel Porta, and with the aggressiveness of Dan Campbell, you knew what was coming. So, with what was on the line. So, Cowboys defense played soft. And then the Lions were just able to go at them. And then all of a sudden it's a touchdown. 23 seconds left. And then you knew 2-point conversion, just felt it. So they go for a 2-pointer. Tackle eligible Taylor Decker, who is one of the best and underrated linemen in the league. Taylor Decker, he goes out, catch a tackle eligible touchdown, so we think. So, to put him at 20-30 seconds left. Then, we see the flag, and then Brad Allen notes illegal touching by Taylor Decker. So, I'll just say this. If you know about this situation, you've had to see the video. In the video, Taylor Decker is up there in Brad Allen's face. And he said after the game, he reported as eligible. There's there. He looks Dan Skipper. he said that Skipper reported as eligible and Decker did not. Anyway, so touch upon this in a sec. So next up, the backed up. They think they may have to kick the extra point to go into overtime. They still go for it, and then Micah Parsons jumps off sides. So then all of a sudden it's closer. Then Jared Goff pass play to James Mitchell, tight end, comes up short, and Cowboys hold on. Now, it wasn't the prettiest game from Goff, definitely. He had 2 picks. Both, I'd say, were more on the defense than on him. That's my take, but still, it wasn't a pretty offensive game from either offense. It was certainly about defense. Now, well, say about the call. So, Ryan Clark and Scott Van Pelt both said after the game that, Skipper lined up at guard and that, he doesn't need to report as eligible. So that's first and foremost. Decker, because he's a tackle going up the field, it's like he has to report as eligible. And Decker said that he told he was eligible, and Brad Allen, you see the video. So Brad Allen says that Decker did not make himself communicate as much that he was eligible. So it's like, in Brad Allen's mind, it's like, what did Taylor Decker say? I mean, seriously, what did he say? Anyways, so now what I will say is there was 23 seconds left and Dallas still had a timeout. So, I mean, it was still possible for them to go for a big play and perhaps kick a field goal. And that would be a different story. But because of that call and the significance of it, because going into that game, Lions still had a chance of the 1 seed if they win out and 49ers drop 1 game. That is out the picture. Dallas, with the Eagles losing and this decision, they're in the win and you have the division scenario for the 2 seed. So, I mean, it's a big ordeal. Anyways, Lions, it's a bitter pill to swallow, certainly, for that defeat. Yeah. Cowboys got the win. Got the win. Dolphins, Ravens. Boy, wasn't as pretty as you expect. 56-19. Ravens, did what they had to do. You know, Tua wasn't for his game. Now, the 2 picks, nonetheless. Ravens have been very opportunistic the last 2 games, you can certainly say. You know, their defense is strong, certainly you can say. But, I mean, over the Ravens, over the 49ers and the Dolphins, certainly have done their job, and now they're the 1 seed. Question for them is, how do they make sure what happened 4 years ago does not happen, you know, this time around? We'll see. As for Dolphins, you know, you're at home on Sunday against Bills. AFC East title on the line. The 2 seed, you know, very much on the line. You know, they won't make the playoffs, but I gotta give credit to how this team has turned out. Chicago Bears win in some snow flurries, beat the Falcons 37-17. Justin Fields had not a great game, but a solid game. You know, ever since Fields has returned from his injury, 4-2 are the Bears. And those 2 losses, they very well could have had. Now, first game versus Detroit, where it was that late game collapse, and then that near Hail Mary against the Browns. I mean, credit to the Bears. You know, Justin Fields is making it tough for the front office and Ryan Poles on what to do. Me personally, I would keep Fields and draft someone. I would trade that number 1 pick for a mortgage of picks. Certainly, because you know someone's going to be greedy and want Fields or Caleb Williams, Drake May, etc. Michael Penix. 26-3. Didn't really bother with the Texans here, but I picked them. They got the win. So, credit there. Yeah. Will Levis left with a foot issue. Really does suck because, you know, the injuries now to him. You just hope they rest him and just leave him for the rest of the season. Yeah. Colts won a close one over the Raiders, 23-20. You know, wasn't pretty, but Minshew Mania, Jonathan Taylor, Colts offense found a way. Great stuff there. I will say, Aiden O'Connell made some good throws in this game. You know, unfortunately the Raiders are eliminated, but, you know, you can see the fight certainly is there out of Antonio Pierce's team. The way he's kind of turned this ship a little bit around. Certainly should be the full-time head coach of the Raiders. 26-0 over Jags over the Panthers. No Trevor Lawrence, no problem. The only problem was a drink spilled on a Jaguars fan by owner David Tepper of the Panthers. that was the only thing that really went wrong for Jaguars then. And, again, for them, if they win next week, despite this little collapse, 4-game losing streak after starting game 3, they win in Tennessee. They win the division. So, it's not the best prize to have to start against the Browns in the playoffs. But, I mean, if you want to salvage this season, how it's kind of been different, then it's right then and there. I feel for Mason Crosby. I do. Oh, by the way, for the Jags, 2 sacks by Trayvon Walker, their former number 1 overall pick, and 3 sacks for Josh Allen. So 16.5 for Josh Allen and 9 sacks for Trayvon Walker. Credit to that pair there. But yeah, I do feel for Mason Crosby. Because, yeah. Giants had this game. They played tough. It was 20-10. But Giants were coming back, missed extra point, failed 2-point conversion, which would have given them the lead late, and then the missed field goal, which was pretty short. Yeah, I feel for Mason Crosby, but that big run by Nakua, that was certainly fun. Tyler Taylor, he certainly had some juice for the Giants offense. Eagles better hope they don't see the same offense next week or Sunday in New York. They better hope. Cardinals, Kyler Murray, and the Cards. Speaking of the Eagles, they go strolling to Philly, and they show some brotherly love to the Eagles. 35-31. I mean, it was 21-6. Philly. And then Kyler Murray and the Arizona Cardinals rallied back with 2 straight touchdown drives to tie it at 21 apiece. Now, when I initially saw the score, I was at work, trapped outside, and I was like, what the heck is happening? And then, you're like, dang. So, the Philly went on a touchdown drive, and like, okay, maybe they can breathe. Nope. Cardinals far back. That was a great one-hander touch. That might be one of the best touchdowns I've seen all year. Kyler Murray spinning out, and James Conner catches it one hand on the goal line and gets it done. They tie it, and then that might be into, yeah, that was the one for the 2-point conversion that before, and then, there's that big touchdown to Michael Wilson, who had a very good game as well. you know, it's also a good building block for Kyler Murray and this Cardinals offense with these young receivers, you can tell. Greg Dortch, Michael Wilson. Again, they're not going to make the playoffs. They're going to have a high pick, but good to see Trey McBride, the season he's had. It's been fun to see. So then, Philly goes down. They sell for a field goal. Crowd boos. So, Cardinals was like, no, no, no. No, we're going to take this. And then, speaking of Greg Dortch, he picks up a big gain. Big gain from Kyler Murray to take it inside the 10 with comfortable time left, and they don't sell for a tie. James Conor again goes in, gets a touchdown, 30 seconds left. It's a Hail Mary. Then they get the pick. Cardinals pull it off 35-31. It is crazy how the Cowboys-Lions decision and now couple this loss, how it changes the NFC playoffs. Because, Cowboys win in Washington, they win the division, and the Eagles, who are faltering, are going to have to go to Tampa likely with Baker Mayfield and those weapons. Now, it wasn't the prettiest game this week, but with that defense of the Eagles, man, is it weird to see. It's weird to see. Commanders, so it was 10-0 49ers. Commanders, tied up at 10 apiece, but Niners pulled away. They may be one of these teams that end up trying to trade with the Bears for the number one pick. Steelers Seahawks, this was a fun game, 30-23. Mason Rudolph made some good throws. George Pickens, heck of a day. Najee Harris, that run game. Some of this stiff arm, certainly, by Najee Harris, that was fun. But Seahawks were humming back. Unfortunately, that missed touchdown. So, at the end, they were down 10. If perhaps he went for Parkinson over Metcalf, I think they would have had a better chance at scoring a touchdown and then make more pressure for the Steelers. But yeah, that fumble also at the end, that kind of screwed up the Seahawks. I mean, both teams so alive. Credit to Mike Tomlin, 17 winning seasons. Hasn't always been pretty, but certainly found a way. Against the Ravens on Saturday, when the Ravens have clinched the 1 seed and are probably going to be resting people. Steelers fighting for the playoff lives? It's certainly there. Packers, Vikings. This honestly felt like a mess on Sunday Night Football. This felt like a mess, honestly. So, we know the trip that the Vikings have been on this season. Start off 1-4, 5 straight, 6-4. Along with Kirk Cousins being hurt, Josh Dobbs, that 2-week experiment, I should say 2.5 weeks, and then it blunders down. Nick Mullins, coulda, woulda, shoulda, won the last 2 games. Jaron Hall starting again. Looked fine for a drive, but it's just unfortunate. Just unfortunate. And Jordan Love. Excuse me. Jordan Love has played much better as of late and showing the signs of why he was a first-round QB in the first place. I mean, with the young receivers he has and the run game, it just felt like out of place for the Vikings. And, they're not eliminated, but it's just odd for the Vikings. And, Packers, it's unique because they win against the Bears on Sunday. They are in. But I just mentioned the Bears and how much better they have been playing. Jalen Carter and Will Anderson Jr. are the top 2 favorites to win Defensive Rookie of the Year. But one guy that needs some love, Tyreek Stevenson. That guy, corner for the Bears, has been great in his rookie year. 4 picks, over 50 tackles. I mean, the job he's done, it's been something. If they can just mold that secondary, I mean, you have Brisker, you have Tyler Gordon, who's been alright, but now you have Stevenson, Jalen Johnson. I mean, you have a young secondary that, could certainly be really something. And their defense as a whole has turned a page the last month or so. So we'll see how that game goes. But yeah, was a trip certainly in NFL Week 17, was it? Conor McGregor, our all favorite Irishman fighter. It's been a while. So, last we saw of him really was The Ultimate Fighter, first Michael Chandler, and wondering when that fight would be made. It's certainly a fun fight. Conor McGregor versus Michael Chandler. But then the thing with USADA and all that, unknowing of when he'll fight. He mentioned a video the other day saying that the plan is to fight Michael Chandler in June. So, that would certainly be a fun birthday present. Certainly seeing that fight, it would be a fun one. Certainly say. But yeah, Conor McGregor, Michael Chandler, two of the best. Money's there. The transfer portal strikes again. DJ Uyagalele has transferred to Florida State. From Clemson to Oregon State to now Florida State. Now, he was good at Oregon State. Certainly looked better, I would say, than Clemson. But wasn't great. Now he turns to a team which is looking to be a contender for next season. Certainly with the 12-team playoff, I'd say they have a solid chance. As long as they don't lose too many guys. Because, yeah, their defense, one of the best this season. But we shall see. But, I mean, the transfer portal has been a unknown, certainly, this season. Let's go over some of the bowl game scores, shall we? So, from this past weekend. So, in anticipated game, I would say the most anticipated bowl game, non-playoffs, Arizona, Oklahoma. Arizona, what a roll they have been on. Down early, but 38-24. Yeah. They're going to be a fun watch next season. A fun watch. I mean, ever since the USC game, they have been fun and, just watch out. They're certainly going to be a fun watch to see. Rutgers, Moldova, Miami. I mean, just wasn't a pretty ending for Miami, I think we could say. Notre Dame, without Sam Hartman, took care of Oregon State 48. Missouri took care of Ohio State without Kyle McCord or Marvin Harrison Jr., no problem. Missouri gets the win. This was a fun one. Clemson over Kentucky, 38-35. Devin Leary, credit to him for Kentucky at 306 yards. But Phil Moffa and Case Klubnik, that duo from Clemson, really barreled it down at the end, so kudos there. Georgia, I mentioned over Florida State. Don't have to say much about that. I think Auburn just wants to flush the last month of the season down the drain. It was not that great. I mean, it was just a bad run at the end. I mean, they lose to New Mexico State, which had a good season, but then they lose in a dogfight, which they should have had versus Alabama, and then they lose this blowout versus Maryland. I mean, yeah. Ole Miss finish off their solid season over Penn State, 38-25. Good stuff, good stuff. So yeah, Monday, Michigan, Washington. But we'll see. So on Thursday, we don't have a Thursday night football game this week. So I may be more inclined to wait Thursday night, early Friday, to have my predictions video uploaded. Obviously go over NFL Week 18, Michigan, Washington, bit more in depth on that. But we'll see. Yeah, it's going to be fun, but hope you guys enjoy this video nonetheless. I certainly did. But until then, thank you guys all. On this side, find the subscription again if you're new, or if you guys just want to be a part of the channel. Thank you guys. Like button over here. Click that like button. Smash it. Leave a thumbs up. Thank you guys all. Be safe. Hey Joe, Two and Love. Love you guys. Out here. Peace. See you guys later this week.